Hey y'all know the vibes. Odie and We Too Live. It's been a minute since I posted a video, but once again, I always want to say thank you so much to all of those that tune in and watch my videos. And I really hope that whoever needs to hear a message for whatever it's shared, that you receive it, you take it back to the Lord, and you just push forward with it, because I'm just so blessed when the Lord is able to deliver something in my heart to be able to share. And today, it's just really been a beaming thing. And it is the most powerful thing that we can do is to pray and to obey. It literally is to pray and to obey. And something that really came to my heart to think about this is the fact that we live in a world where everything is just so fast paced, boom, 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 boom. We're so used to things, we order something on Amazon and literally it's going to be there sometimes the next day, prime shipping. Sometimes if we're lucky, we could pay a little extra 5 little bills and it's going to be there in 3 hours if it comes down to it. And we're even moving into a world where soon we're going to order something literally off Amazon and it comes in an hour, like it's Instacart. You know what I'm trying to say? And my point of what I'm trying to say there is that we're so fixated on wanting to do things, wanting things to happen quickly for us, right? Wanting things to happen quickly, right? And so I say that to say that it is still possible for things to shift and move and be done quickly, but sometimes people really want shortcuts in this life. People want shortcuts in this life. People want shortcuts in this life. And why I say that and why it has really brought me into the revelation of this topic today is because people want to really do things and go around things, right? They want to get as close as they can get to God without actually doing the things that God wants us to do. Which in return, prayer and being obedient. Those are two of the most powerful things that you can do in this life, is to pray. And there is a certain way that you definitely mostly should pray, right? But prayer and obedience. Obedience can really save your life. By you being obedient to the path and the way that God designed you and wants you to go, as a representation that you are listening to his voice, as a representation that you respect his word that he has given to us. That is a gift that he has given to us. That is a guide that he has given to us. Sometimes after certain situations, there's certain things that God will tell you that this is how you shall move and this is how you shall move. And I'm going to tell you guys the importance of why we need to pray. I mean, we should be praying every day. We should be praying all the time, but the importance of why prayer and obedience is so important. When you pray, right? And even we can consider even when you obey, but when you pray, there are shifts that are happening. There are shifts that are happening that you can't even see. We can even bring it back to the example with Amazon. When you order a package, right? When you order a package, right? When you order a package, we don't know the ins and outs of what's happening behind the scenes in the Amazon warehouse, right? We don't know what's happening in the ins and outs of what's happening in the Amazon warehouse, but we know that the package is going to get to us, right? We trust that it's going to get to us. We trust that it's going to get to us, right? But we can't literally see the ins and outs of what's literally of them taking it off the shelf. Them taking it off the shelf. We don't know what's happening in that warehouse, but we know that there's something happening, and we know that it's gonna come. Something's gonna come. Something's gonna come. And what's even crazy? Even if that package that you were expecting doesn't come, something's going to still come. A message is still going to come to you to tell you that, yeah, that package ain't gonna come today, or that package ain't gonna come at all. And so this is what you're going to get in return. Shifts. Shifts are happening. Shifts are happening. Shifts are happening even when you can't see it. And that is why it's so important to pray. It is so important to pray, because you want a package on Amazon, but how you gonna get the package if you ain't even put it into your cart? How you gonna get the package if you ain't even search it up? How you ain't gonna get the package if you ain't choose the package? You see what, I mean, how you gonna get the package if you ain't even choose the item? How you gonna know what color it's supposed to be if you ain't search it up? If you ain't select the color? If you weren't guided on a choice? Like, shifts happen even when you can't see it. And I think sometimes we get so lost in this world because, like, we can't see the shifts happening, right? So what's the purpose of doing it? There's always a purpose in prayer. There's always a purpose to pray. It's just a reminder, right? That we have to trust that God is doing it. We have to trust that God is in the midst of making those shifts happen. We have to trust that God is on the back end. We have to trust that God is working in that warehouse. We have to trust that God is doing it for us, no matter what it may look like at the moment. We have to really rely and trust with God, and trust God with all your heart. Trust God with all your heart. Seek God with all your heart. Seek God with all your heart and trust that He is doing it for you. Weariness and faith cannot exist in the same atmosphere. They can't. So either you trust God or you don't. And I'm gonna get to the revelation of what happens when you do feel weary. But you always have to transfer that weariness even into trust. Even when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you, Lord. And that truth remains. Even when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you, Lord. Let that be your stamina. Let that be your key. Let that be your theme song. Even when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you. I trust in the Lord. Because I trust in the Lord that He is going to do it, or He is going to do something even better. But regardless, Lord, I trust you. That has to be your stamina. Because I'm telling you, shifts happen. And when shifts happen, it changes your perspective. It changes your stamina. It changes. Things change. I'm telling you, things really do change. It changes how you see. It changes whatever was in your eyes. It will be removed when you trust in the Lord. And this also connects, and it proves that we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to how we are paying attention. We need to pay attention to how we pay attention. And what does that mean? That means, where are we dedicating our time? Where are we dedicating our time? Where are we dedicating our time? And what I mean by that, because there are so many choices of things that we could be doing. And like I said, it gets back to the shortcut thing. It gets back to almost like, let's not take advantage of the mercy that God gives us in this life. Okay? And mercy is sometimes when we get things that there's something that we should have got and we didn't get it. That's mercy. And grace is when we receive things even though we didn't do anything to even receive it, to even be able to gain it. You know what I'm trying to say? That's grace and mercy. So let us not take advantage of the grace and mercy that God gives us, right? That's one. But we need to pay attention to how we pay attention. So that means that we have to dedicate time to prayer. We need to dedicate time to prayer. We need to dedicate time to prayer, because I feel like in this world, once again, we make time for so many things. We make time for so many things. But when do we make time for prayer? We're living in a world where people are feeling so many different types of emotions, but it's like, have you dedicated time to pray? Because when you pray, there is something that is going to shift in your spirit. And let me get into more details of that, right? So Hannah, right? I'm going into First Samuel with Hannah. Right? Hannah, they mocked at her, right? They mocked at her. There were so many things that were going on in her life. You know what I'm trying to say? And what did she do? She took her requests. She took her feelings. She took everything that everyone was throwing at her. And she took her requests. She took her struggles. She took her pain. She took her confusion. And she did all of that and even the direction of where her life should go. She took all of it and she took it to God. She took it to prayer. She didn't respond to the mocking that people were mocking at her. She didn't respond to it. She didn't respond to it. She took it to God. She literally said, okay, bet, taking it to God. Her confusion, her confusion, her sadness of not being able to give birth to a child yet. Like her, like I said, her request, she took her request to God. The things that she wanted, she took it to God. And she said, God, show me, God, grant me. She said, God, grant me and God, show me. She took everything to God. She took her pain that she felt from the mocking. She took her pain that she felt having to be a part of this world and the things that she felt as if though she wanted to have and she didn't have yet. She took it to God. She took it to God in prayer. She took it to God in prayer. And that's what I mean, where prayer shifts things. Because eventually down the road, right? Oh, yes, this is what I was going to say. Eventually down the road, it shifts things, right? And that's what I mean. Prayer and spending time with Jesus in general and this is what I mean, where it connects with obedience. Because when you spend time in prayer, when you spend time in the word, right? When you spend time to understand the principles, when you spend time to be obedient to the things that God has told you and told us, right? In terms of living a righteous life, that will even blind you from doing things that are not in alignment to God. That will even blind you from certain spirits that want to tear your spirit down so that you can become lost, even more lost than the place that you already were at. Like, the devil's job here on this earth is to steal, kill, and destroy. The devil can steal your time. He can kill your time. He can steal your joy. He can like even try to steal your gifts. Still there's so much things that the devil is trying to work up and do. Like how they were even potentially trying to do to Hannah, like when they were mocking her. And you know what I'm trying to say? When they were mocking her, like there's so much that she could have, in a sense, done in that situation. But instead, like I said, once again, she took everything to God. And God literally guided her. God guided her. And in the midst of Hannah praying, because not only did Hannah pray, but she prayed with all her heart. It really does come to a point. I understand sometimes, you know, when everything's all, you know, good and jolly, you know what I'm trying to say, you probably won't come to God with, I don't want to say with your whole heart, but it really opens your eyes. Like I used to see this, I used to see verses like this all the time in the Bible, like, oh, come to me fully with your whole heart. Come to me fully with your whole heart. Come to me fully with your whole heart. Like, and some people, like, we be afraid to do that. We be trying to put up this front with God. And now, I'm not saying eliminating the fact that we should not pray with power. Still pray with power, right? But at the same time, however you are feeling, pray to God about it and like that. Let it all go to God. Because who else are you going to let it all go to? Who else are you going to let it all out to? Okay, boom. So yeah, my memory card was full and my battery was dying, but we continue on with the message. Prayer moves, prayer shifts. Prayer shifts situations. And I'm telling you, it shifts situations and it shifts everything. God, like, and that's why sometimes, and I'll explain to it later why there's sometimes certain turmoil that happens, right? And sometimes when certain turmoil happens, there is a specific path that we are supposed to go down. Hence, we can just see it simply here. Hannah, turmoil. What did Hannah do in the midst of the turmoil? Hannah ran to God. Hannah ran to prayer, and then Hannah was obedient. It's going to all make sense in a little bit, right? But that just shines a light on an example of what we, in a sense, should also follow. We should pray. We should run to God with prayer, and we should be obedient with the things that he tells us to do and how we should act. Hannah was praying for a son. God shifted Hannah's heart posture because maybe if God had given Hannah the son at an earlier time, maybe if Hannah just had the son, because Hannah's lineage, right? She was going to birth one of the greatest prophets, Samuel. That was part of Hannah's destiny. That was part of Hannah's destiny, right? So maybe if Hannah was unprepared and birthed a son, certain things just couldn't have been aligned so. So Hannah had to encounter what she encountered because it made her heart cry out to the Lord, who the Lord will be the only one to take the victory. The Lord will be the only one to take the victory. Because Hannah now prayed and came to God with a different posture. And that's what I meant, where sometimes when we're in the midst of joy, when we're in the midst of comfortability, right? Sometimes we do have to get uncomfortable to really shake us into reality. Just to shake us, right? To shake us to remember where we are rooted in. And now I'm not saying that for all the time, because that should also just even be a wake-up call that even in the midst of our joy, God is good. But even in the midst of our troubles, God is still good. So don't forget to always run to God. Period. That's what I can say right now. But Hannah prayed. Hannah prayed. She did not eat. Hannah prayed. Hannah prayed. Hannah prayed. Hannah prayed and did not eat. Hannah prayed till she couldn't even talk anymore. Hannah prayed till her breath was out, like in her lungs, like she couldn't speak. And in the midst of that prayer, her perspective shifted, because now she's praying to God like, God, if you grant me this son, I'm going to dedicate him back to you. Her motive changed. Her reasoning changed. Her why changed. Her why changed. Her vision changed. Because she's in the midst of prayer, because she ran to the Lord. The Lord is able to do that for us. The Lord is able to reshape the things that we see. He's able to do that for us. I'm telling you, trust in the Lord. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. But what I really wanted to get out of that is that that's the importance of the reason also that why you need to pray, because sometimes, right, in the midst of our prayer and our obedience, it shifts the world. It shifts destinies because you decided to pray wholeheartedly with your heart, but also because you decided to be obedient. Because you decided to be obedient. I'm telling you, we have to start realizing that God did not put us in this life. And I was going to talk about this a long time ago in a different video, but I didn't even get a chance to shoot yet. But we are connected to people. God will send you kingdom helpers. God sends us kingdom helpers, but also we are kingdom helpers in this life. But also as well, we are chosen. There are certain people in this life. You are really chosen. Like you are a chosen person. So I beg, pray to God always for direction so that he can shift your character, so that God can do something new in you, to shift your character, to keep your eyes focused on him and not on what this world is. Because if we focus on the world, that means that every single argument, every single attack we will be getting attacked. Every single thing that the enemy does, we would let it affect us. But when we shift our focus on God, we see different. We might not be perfect all the time, but I promise you, you're going to see different. You're going to know different. You're going to move different. You're going to be reminded differently when you pray and you are obedient to what God says, because your obedience can last a lifetime. Your obedience holds weight in your bloodline. Like, you don't understand, you being obedient to what God wants you to do can shift so much. Hannah being obedient to knowing, I'm not gonna listen to y'all. I'm not gonna argue with y'all. I'm not gonna feed into what y'all got. I'm not gonna let y'all have the last say. I'm gonna go to God. Because God is the only one who has the power to change or shift or do anything. And that is exactly what Hannah did, and Hannah did right. And that's why she shifted everything for her whole bloodline. She said, God, to you. And that's another thing. We should be putting God first. Everything should be done for God. So if you ain't doing things in a representation for God, then maybe you need to start questioning, why am I even kind of doing this? Overall down the line. You know what I'm saying? And in connection to obedience and praying, right? There's a lot of choices that we can make in this life. And it doesn't, like, even when God wakes you up in the middle of the night, right? And you really supposed to pray, because that's, the shift in hours, you know what I'm trying to say? But like, or just certain things, like when there's something urging you, like if you know that something is urging you to pray. But when something is urging you so strongly not to pray, and you know that you should be praying, you need to pray. Because that is a spirit hovering over you as well too. Because I'm telling you, saying, you know what, I'm going to take 5 minutes to pray before I respond to this. I'm going to take 5 minutes to pray before I step out my house. There's so much that can shift in the atmosphere. I'm telling you the truth. And it doesn't matter, even if it's just 10 minutes. That you dedicate, like 10 minutes, you can do a lot in 10 minutes when you wake up in the middle of the night. You can scroll for 10 minutes and that can go whoever way, but you can pray for 10 minutes and you don't know what that can do to change your tomorrow. And if you don't believe me, it is truth. It is truth. What I mean by that, it may take you 3 minutes max to floss your teeth, right? And it takes you 3 minutes max one time a day. No, 2 times, because let's be real, we should floss at least twice a day to floss your teeth. Now let's put it into comparison. Somebody who flosses their teeth 2 times a day, right? For 6 minutes, 2 times a day, a whole year, and a person who doesn't floss their teeth, 2 times a day for a whole year. There's 2 outcomes that will come. So yes, it matters. Prayer matters. Obedience matters. Knowing that you have to floss your teeth 2 times a day, and you doing that is a form of obedience. That is a form of you literally taking care of your temple. But that's my whole point. It's a form of obedience. It's the same thing when it comes to prayer and just being obedient with the things that God has told you to do and the way that God has led you. And what I meant by that also too is that literally as Christians and as disciples of Christ, we are set apart. So there are certain things that the world may do that we don't partake in. There are certain things that God will lead you and tell you to do. That's just the way that it got to be done. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's that. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's just that, because we are set apart. We don't want to do things that the world is doing anyways if it's going to lead down a path of destruction. So yes, obedience matters and prayers matters. And in connection to the world is that sometimes people won't understand you. And that's literally what happened to Hannah. Hannah was misunderstood. Even to the ones that love you are going to sometimes misunderstand you. And when I put that into perspective, her husband. Her husband loved her. You feel me? Her husband loved her. Her husband loved her. He went above and beyond for her. He gave her more. But he still sometimes saw that she was sad, that she was upset, that she was upset that she couldn't do something that she probably knew deep down in her, that God already gave her the desire. God gave her that desire. That's why she had that desire. Because God gave it to her. You know what I'm trying to say? I point the other afflictions of just, what it meant to have a kid, but it's like whatever. But God gave it to her. That's probably why she continually felt it in her spirit that it just doesn't make sense that it's not here, right? But even her husband said, but you got me, like you got me, you know what I'm trying to say? And even though maybe her husband is coming from, I want to say, a good place, right? He's coming from a good place. He's not even coming from a place out of spite, where sometimes you will be spitefully misunderstood. People who purposely misunderstand you, or people who purposely misscrew you, misscrew your perspective, misscrew your journey, misscrew what you're going through. They'd be like, yeah, look at her. Like, and when it comes to in that terms, we can say the other wife, her sister wife, whatever, I don't even know her name, Penelope or something. I don't know, but her, how she was basically mocking, she was mocking Hannah, right? Or even how the town was perceiving Hannah due to the fact that she was barren, right? That's a lot of misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding in that perspective probably was coming from a not so good place. You know what I'm trying to say? But from her husband, it was coming from, he does love her. And still, she was misunderstood. So that can represent that sometimes, even in this life, you will be misunderstood. And misunderstanding is sometimes bound to happen, even from those that you love, right? And that also is a representation that sometimes challenges are bound to happen. And that also is a representation that sometimes there are so many things that the world will push onto us that will sometimes come around us and happen. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying that we should partake in it, and I'm not saying that we should encourage it, but I'm just telling you and I'm letting y'all. Okay, so I'm going to try and wrap this up because I'm losing memory and it's getting dark. But like I said, misunderstandings sometimes are bound to happen. This can come in the form of gossip, lies, doubt, whatever. And I'm not trying to say that it's okay, nor that we shall indulge in it, but I'm just saying that sometimes it's happened. Sometimes the weapons will form, but we know that they will not prosper. And so that also tells us and reveals to us that truth will always prevail, meaning the lies sometimes that we encounter, sometimes the doubt that we encounter isn't truth. And we shall not allow it to be truth. No. It takes you for just one situation to wash away the direction God has given you your whole entire life. One. Don't let one thing destroy the direction that God has been giving you. And so in revelation to that, what does that mean? We must hold on to prayer, and we must hold on to his obedience. And that also means, and that also lies in our character and in our choices. Don't become sour because the enemy tempts to tempt you to be like them. Don't change your character to basically coincide with the spirit of the enemy, because the enemy has a nasty spirit. Because everything is spirits around us, let's not forget. So we must remain in solitude of the fruits, right, that God gives us, and remain in it and walk in it. And this is what I will end lastly on this last note. In a basketball game, do we quit because we don't make any shots in the first quarter? Do we just quit? Do we quit because we're losing in the first quarter? Do we quit because we didn't shoot anything in the first quarter? Too many of us are quitting the game before the game is over. Too many people are quitting in the midst of the basketball game before the game is even over. And I mean that in life. Too many of us are giving up and quitting and just letting it all loose and just letting it all go before this life is over. So what does that mean? Like I said, hold fast and pray. Pray with all your heart, just like Hannah did. Just like our good sis Hannah did. Hannah prayed with all. Point blank is, be obedient to the things that God tells you to. And that means in our character, in our actions, in our thoughts, in our mind, in our heart. Pray in all circumstances. Let prayer be the first thing that you call on. Not your boyfriend, not the group chat, not TikTok, not Google. God, let God be the first thing that you call on. Prayer. Let prayer be the first thing you call on. And no matter what your situation is, No matter how big it may feel, no matter how heavy it may feel, you don't have to build up a wall with God. Let it all out to God full-heartedly with your heart, because God already knows how you feel. So what's the point of hiding it to him? Let him know that how you feel. Let him know that you feel angry. Let him know that you feel upset. Let it all out to him. Because when you let it all out to him, that is when God is able to maneuver, and that is when God is able to work. The things that God can do, I'm telling you, the things that God can do is unbelievable. But that is all that I'm going to say now, in the midst of timing, in the midst of everything. But like I said, prayer and obedience can really save you. And it's so important to pray and be obedient, because you also don't know who is connected to you, right? And sometimes you do know your children, your wife, your husband, even the ones that you haven't met yet or fully have come into alignment because of timing with yet, that you guys just not on the same time frequency yet. Like, you just don't know, like, business opportunities. Like, you could be the next Bill Gates. I don't, you just don't know. But what I do know is that prayer and obedience is key to shifting things in the atmosphere. And that is all I have for now. Love and kisses. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you felt like this resonated with you, share, comment, subscribe if you feel led to. And peace and blessings. I love you, but Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, loves you even more. So, peace out. Have a good night.